Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for our June installment. We've got 5 great companies coming at you today. For those of you just joining into the session, do keep in mind that this presentation may contain forward-looking information. There can be no assurance that forward-looking information will prove to be accurate, as actual results in future events could differ materially from those anticipated in such statements. Accordingly, viewers should not place undue reliance on forward-looking information. And now with that, I'd like to turn things over to Bern of Indie Power Systems to tell us a little bit about how Indie is developing the most intelligent and efficient electric vehicle charging station. So Bern, over to you to present.
All right, well, my name is Bern Leonard. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Indie Power Systems. So Indie Power Systems, we're a clean tech, renewable energy management company, which is really focused on, I guess, two sort of major product lines or two categories. The primary focus currently being DC fast charging system, 100 kW and larger, to service the sort of rapidly growing e-mobility space that you see globally, and certainly in North America, it's really picking up momentum as well. Second bit is microgrids, which really tie together a lot of the back-end infrastructure in a microgrid is the stuff that supports a DC fast charging platform. So that's sort of at a high level who we are, and let me just run you through a few slides here to talk a little bit about the market and the opportunity, and then we can wrap up with some questions. Why isn't this scrolling down? Oh, there we go. So we've reached a sort of interesting time in the e-mobility market in North America. We're actually seeing organic demand happening. People want to buy electric vehicles. People are opting to move away from ICE vehicles, internal combustion engines. And there's a few sort of key reasons for that, which really sort of set the stage for the market and the opportunity. Certainly there's been technology advances over the last number of years, but certainly has accelerated in the past 5, particularly around battery technology. So the batteries are getting better. And so, there's, I guess, a couple of things that come with owning an EV, range anxiety and charge anxiety. No one ever really wants to be broken down on the side of the road with a used up battery. So that's sort of critical. I guess another part of that, if you look at the large automakers, everybody is kind of committed to either, a vehicle in each of the major sort of categories or price points, and some have committed over, different time ranges to actually go with a full electric or plug-in hybrid electric business model. So that's really driving it as well. And then, of course, there's certain mandates, and so we're moving away from tax incentives and mandates to a sort of a market where people want to buy. There's more and more vehicles available, say in the luxury range. The F-150 Lightning, obviously the F-150 is a sort of an anchor product for the Ford Motor Company. So you're starting to see, people want to drive a nice vehicle. So you're starting to see a real range of vehicles that are available. And sort of there's some real wind in the sail for e-mobility, and that's really just talking about passenger vehicles. But when we think about e-mobility, I guess there's a couple things. Obviously the Europeans, particularly the Scandinavian countries, China, are much further ahead than the North American market. So there's some catch up there, and it comes, I think, to do with how say Europeans utilize their vehicles and the availability of mass transport versus what we have in the U.S. So different market space, we'll say, but overall, there's a number of other options around e-mobility. So there's passenger vehicles. The commercial fleet market is potentially a massive opportunity. School buses, semi trucks. Marine is another. Marine and trains. The train system are also sort of make up the ecosystem that is e-mobility, and for that matter, any sort of commercial tractor or if you think about a farming application, all those are potential market space for e-mobility. So kind of a high level overview of sort of what it is. And then I just want to talk about what Indy is really planning. So we're looking at, from a hardware perspective, we really want to bring a solution to the market that's modular, that's scalable, and it's sort of a single drop. So in terms of, if we're thinking about managing total cost of ownership and getting the infrastructure in place, it's got to be simple, it's got to be straightforward, it's got to be modular, it's got to be scalable. And we really then it comes down to the data-driven solutions using software and really managing the human-machine interface. So how people are going to interact with, so the person who's at the, filling their vehicle with electrons, how do they want to interact? They want to make sure that it's available. They want to make sure that, they can get the options they're looking for, the data they're looking for. And the owners of the infrastructure certainly, they want to make sure that things are optimized, that they have plenty of uptime, they're optimizing their assets. So we're looking at data-driven software solutions to make all that happen. I think if you think about the maintenance cycles and predictive maintenance cycles, and because again, significant amount of infrastructure investment. And in order to get the ROI, you've got to have a solid service and maintenance program that's somewhat predictive. For us, it really comes back to developing key partnerships. So one of the things we've done is we've pulled together we believe a really strong team from a technical perspective to make this happen. One of the biggest risks that I think we all face on this call today is around supply chain. So we're really working hard to develop, key relationships with suppliers on a global basis. I'm just back this week from Europe on a sort of a week and a half tour of Europe to talk to some key players. Again, over there, they're advanced, I would say, compared to where we are in the North American space, and trying to understand and develop some sort of key takeaways so we can take take those best learnings and try to apply them in our designs and our concepts. What's our go-to-market look like? So we currently have a functional design specification. We're working with multiple vendors on a global basis to develop sort of our V1 of the Indy DC fast charging platform. We expect to have that rolled out in Q4 of this year. We're making good progress. Also, again, can't reiterate enough the focus on software and the enablers around the software to really make an efficient customer-centric approach to the actual application. I guess talk a little bit about the microgrid. So as a secondary offering, microgrids have really come into focus, particularly in the C&I space, so commercial industrial space, and folks trying to either make sure that power is resilient or try to reduce through demand charge reduction or time of day shifting to sort of save money and keep the lights on. So that's sort of a secondary focus for us. But again, it's part of the overall platform development of Indy as we develop the DC fast charging platform. The microgrid side of it really sort of develops organically and allows us to sort of move forward on that platform as well. We have talked to some various groups on both opportunities. Obviously, there's a lot of interest in the DC fast charging from convenience stores. Make a real solid opportunity, and that's going to be an interesting transition as we move away from gas stations and move to more dual fueling stations, I guess you'd call it. Pay to park applications, hotels, sporting events, sort of more on the retail side, and certainly fleet management. This is where the software can really come to play, is around the fleet management and optimizing the assets there. So that's sort of some of the markets we want to play in. And where we're putting the funds and the focus of our efforts on the DC fast charger, building our team, and trying to go out there and find the best opportunities for the betas, and ultimately to, you know, start taking LOIs and POs hopefully here in the second part of the year. So it's essentially where we are today. So, you know, overall, why invest in Indie Power Systems? You know, the market is buoyant, it's growing, just so many opportunities. One of the things that really I think sticks out is the fact that there's multiple opportunities for the owners of the infrastructure to really monetize that infrastructure. So whether it's front of the meter, behind the meter, you know, once you have the assets in place, and you know, our microgrid system and our charging system, you know, will have renewables capabilities, so you can bolt solar onto it, you can bolt you know, batteries onto it as well. So you sort of it's multifaceted in that sense. But you know, I guess you know, I always come back to the team in this. I think we've built a really solid team of both technical people and, you know, commercial people who are really committed to driving this forward. And you know, the e-mobility market is sort of immature. I think the models are still developing over time, and I think they'll change. Certainly, you know, it's just one of those industries where it's still pretty raw and pretty new, and that's why we're very much trying to focus on the software and the data, so we can see around the corner and try to get out in front of sort of our competitors and deliver, you know, cutting edge solutions to get a leg up in the market. So yeah, that's essentially Indie Power Systems in a nutshell, I guess.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for the pitch presentation there, Bern. It's obviously a lot to explain in terms of understanding the EV charging side of the business, as well as the grid side of the business, which I know across the US and other areas have certainly had some issues with kind of overpowering the grid as of late. So definitely it's a very needed service that you guys are delivering on. Because the pitch was so detailed, we have run out of time kind of for the Q&A period. So I do encourage everyone to go to frontfundr.com/Indie Power Systems, or reach out to Bern directly with any questions. Their campaign is going to be live on FrontFundr still for a couple of weeks, so there's still plenty of time to invest. But Bern, thank you so much for the presentation today. Really appreciate it. I'm just going to wrap up here with a couple slides about FrontFundr for anyone who is new to one of our webinars. So we are Canada's leading equity crowdfunding platform. We make it easy for all Canadians to invest in Canada's most exciting startup and growth stage businesses for as little as $250. You guys had a great opportunity to meet some of those exciting startups and growth stage companies today. And we recently also reached a milestone of over 100 funded campaigns or raises on FrontFundr as well. So really excited with that. And for anyone who has questions about how to get started or make an investment, I do encourage you to visit frontfundr.com. You'll be able to see the campaign pages for each of the 5 companies here today. I believe all of which are closing in or around the month of June as well. So I do encourage you to check them out as soon as you can. And for any questions, I encourage you to reach out to support@frontfundr.com. So thanks very much, everyone. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.